Hello, 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 wonderful people. Welcome to Hanging Out with Temi. Isn't it awesome to be here? It's wonderful to be alive. My name is Temi Ajayi, if you don't know who I am. And I've got Heidi with me. How are you doing, Heidi?
I am so great to be alive, my friend, and I'm so grateful for your life, my friend. I love you so much, and I thank God for you every day.
I love you more than you can imagine. I'm really grateful that I'm truly alive.
Yes,
And if you're coming for the first time on the show, we say welcome. And if you're a returnee, we say thank you. Last week I wasn't here, but the ladies did an amazing job. And I'm like, thank you, God, that I could actually be at the other side and observe and still on this earth, planet
yes.
Earth. I'm so grateful. You guys did amazingly well last week. I was like, oh, I didn't have a lot of energy, but I'm grateful. The energy is back this week. My energy is come back. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
It's
How are
good.
you?
I'm extremely blessed. I can tell you now
That's good to
categorically.
hear.
I'm saying I'm blessed. I know what I'm talking about. I'm blessed.
Amen. Amen. It's beautiful. How are you, Heidi?
I'm good, Liz. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's good.
That's good. So, Heidi, tell us, how have you been?
Um, how have I been? I've been very busy as usual, and this week I had an event that basically I was waiting for about 4 years now.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, so the coach that helped me in my recovery back, 5 years ago.
In
Well, this,
Egypt?
yes, yes. So this person actually contacted me. His office contacted me, and he asked me to come for an interview online with him. And so far, we had that interview only 3 days ago, and so far there is 114,000 people that watched the interview. And yes, he's got about 12 million followers, and actually I've had so many people contact me since then. I can say in the thousands of people contacted me in 3 days. Yes, and they want to understand what I did to heal. They want to learn about the psychosomatic process. They want to understand how I actually, went about, going from there to here. And, I've been waiting for this interview or this interaction to happen for 4 years now. And, I've thought about it. I have asked him, and he said, when the right time comes, I will let
Wow.
This is
you. Yeah.
the guy who said to see him, you have to pay. How much do you have to pay for an hour? $10,000 or $100,000?
This guy, the thing is, Temi, even if you pay, are you going to see him? This is the thing. So you have to pay in advance. And when you pay, you have to wait. So last time I paid in advance, it's $1,000, thousand American dollars to book an appointment. And to actually see him, you need to wait when he has seeing clients in his schedule, because he's yeah. So anyway, so I waited for 11 months last time I wanted to see him, and that was a couple of years ago.
Unbelievable. Well done. But are you ready for the capacity of the amount of workload you're going to get? You ready for that?
Well, I don't know if there is any work that's coming out of that. There is a lot of transformation. I know that because a lot of people are asking questions, and I'm here to serve. And I said to him, you gave me the key of life when you told me. I said that to him in the interview, and I wish I can translate it. It's all in Arabic. I will translate it though. I told him there, I said to him, you gave me the key of life when you told me that every day should be my last day.
I remember. I remember the story well. Fantastic. Congratulations. I must say, I have not watched that because of everything else that I'm doing, I've been going through. But I saw that something came. I've just been picking one thing slowly, slowly. But I tell you what, I'm back. I'm back. Alice, how are you? Tell us about
Yeah.
you been having meeting with 1 million people and stuff like that.
Thank you for checking in, Temi. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. The week has been awesome as well. You know, I am quite passionate about issues surrounding gender-based violence and domestic violence and rape and such. So
Yes, I
I've been
know.
listening into the different budgets to hear, how much is allocated to these ministries and how are we going to um, challenge these issues this year, because the theme still continues and we're looking at ways how we can really make this theme relevant throughout the year. It was just beautiful to see, the commitment on the side of the budget, but there is a lot of work to be done. So I'm aligning myself to be a part of this different movements. I'm researching and seeing how I can really contribute. I have also learned that the month of May is the month of commemorating those people who have lost their lives due to gender-based violence. So that's even massive. There are a few events coming up during this month as well in that regard, and I think maybe even on the platform we can dedicate one show to that, so that we can also just commemorate those people who have lost their lives through gender-based violence, and also raise our own awareness through that. So that's where I am.
Yeah, it's interesting because everything these days as well, I've been listening to and reading book related to this gender-based issue. And remember, I was reading about the Gilead and
That's right.
yes, the women in leadership, and the whole book is dedicated to violation against women and gender-based biases and everything. And one of the things that touched my heart is the fact that even your position does not deter you from being biased against and put down as a woman, because this book is dedicated to all the prime ministers or the presidents of nations, women coming together, and they were very open and honest on the way they were treated while they were in the office. I think it was Anna of Malawi, was it Anna or Joyce, that was saying that when she goes into the parliament to deliberate on issues, that the men will be they will be looking at her, and what's she going to say now? What's she doing this time? Rah, rah, rah. Looking at her dress, her skirt, her everything. And they actually, they make fun of them as well. They were calling Julia liar, making a lot of things going on in terms of this. So this is really a serious issue, and I think the whole nation is waking up to it. And
That's right.
I'm reading about it, and even this morning I was looking at Nigerian news and about a supposed molestation of a child girl, and what the law is to support the victims and all that. So it's a good thing that you're doing. It's a good cause, because people die because of this, as we know. So domestic violence against women, all the women say no. Yes, not
Definitely.
definitely
Zero tolerance.
zero tolerance. Hi, Bart. We go on a quick break, and then we'll come and talk about dealing with unexpected circumstances. We'll go on the short break and be right back. Welcome once again to Hanging Out with Temi, and it's an honor and a privilege and a great grace to be able to sit on this platform and still enjoy the ambience and the richness of my environment. So if you want to call my name now, you could just say Kokumo Temitayo. Kokumo means refuse to die. Or J, arrest the dead. And
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you
So
that,
remember that.
yeah, Bekuje, Kokumo, and Tolong. A lot of things, names you could call me now. But truly, Heidi, Liz, is like death to life, second chance. It's a great opportunity. And I was listening to you last week, and I was moved. I was really moved. So I appreciate every second even more now with my ordeal. It was an ordeal, I can tell you now. But the one thing I want to say, though, this is a testimonial episode because I've learned so much in so little period of time. I've learned so much, so much. And I could pinpoint significant pockets of opportunity for me to realize how much I am being favored, being extremely favored. The incidents, the after incident, the support that I get from people, I cannot, it's mind blowing. It was becoming scary,
What?
actually. It was becoming really so. When I see another bouquet of flower coming or another platter of, I'm shaking like, not again. I'm not dead. I'm here. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, what if I'm dead? You know, people will enjoy because there'll be plenty of roses and flowers. And then I said that, but one of my friends was like, don't say that. Don't even try. And I said, God loves me so much. And he says, yes. So if God needs somebody else to help him in heaven, he must use someone else, not you. So I'm grateful. Mm. So I
I
listen.
want to hear how did you actually come out of the car? Because from how it looks, I don't know. I just want to know how did you get out of there?
I can recount it now. When this incident happened, immediately it happened. I was uh, I was a bit alert, like, oh, accident has happened. What do I have to do? What was I going to do after this time? I remembered I had to go do the bath for a baby, and then I had to do the show. So I said, let me call the people that are
Wait,
involved, and I could still do that.
wait, Temi. What do you mean? No, no, no. Rewind, please.
Okay, so immediately after I had the accident, not
Yes.
immediately, shortly after, I could recall what I was going to do before the accident, what I was going to do, what my schedule. So I
Mhm.
remember the where I was going was to go back. Do you know I was going to help a young couple? That's where I
Yeah.
was going. So I remembered. And after that, I was going to go home and my husband was going to pick me up to come do the show. I remembered that too. So it came to my memory to alert the two, people involved, or, all of you, that this has happened. So don't expect me now. I'm going to the hospital. I don't know what has happened to me, but you can look at me in the hospital if you like, like I'm going to the hospital. So I was able to do that. But then all of a sudden, I forgot the full details of the incident. So I quickly give you the scenario. Okay, I was going, um, I thought I'll say this anyway because a lot of people have been asking me. So I'm thinking if I'm telling 1 million people, I'll be tired. So if anybody wants to know, I will just refer them to the show, to today's show. So what
Yes.
happened was I was going on a 2 lane, you know, going southeast, I discovered, and then the car was coming south north. We were parallel, up, adjacent, parallel to each other. And so from afar, I saw a black car speeding, coming straight at me diagonally. So this is him supposed to go. He deviated swerve from his lane, coming this way. And then he bypassed a couple of cars in front of me and coming at me. I saw it. So I was going like 60, uh, you know, um, at 60 speedometer. What do you call it? Speed.
Kilometers an hour.
Yeah, exactly, 60 kilometers an hour. So I saw the car was coming to me. So I said, I better move because this guy was going to hit me. So then I moved from my lane. I came into the mid lane. Now, the mid lane, there's no lane there. But because he's come to me, I was midway. And then he came back at me. So when I looked, I'm like, he's coming back at me. Then I'm going to be in the middle of a car going, him hitting me. I'll be sandwiched in the middle. So I said, I better quickly get out of this middle. So then I went straight again into the paddock. I went back to my lane and off the road to the paddock. And so then I had the bang. When I had the bang, I didn't know what happened because when I went off, I said, thank God, this car was going to hit me. Thank God I've escaped it. It would have hit me. And then I heard the bang. So when I heard the bang, I'm like, did he hit somebody again that the person hit me at the back? Or did I hit a tree? I didn't know what happened at this time. Okay, so, and then all of a sudden my car went spinning, spinning,
Wow.
spinning, spinning, and then faced where I was coming from. So when I saw that, and all of a sudden, I have to say this bit. All of a sudden, I found myself in like a cyclone kind of big white drum, perfectly circled, no gate, no lining, no nothing, like perfect. So I was there, little. I'm like, what's happening? Where is this? And all of a sudden, I came back out of that to realization I'm in the car. And so I looked at my side, I saw the airbag is come out. And I used to say, I wonder how airbag looks, all this way. So I saw it, I'm like, okay, I know it. I didn't know that, I forgot. You have to have an accident to actually say, But anyway, so I'm like, okay, this is a serious thing. Accident is happened, is white. Then I'm looking at the other side to see that perfectly round thing. There wasn't any round. So I believe God has encompassed me in that time. There's no doubt. So when I realized it was an accident and I'm in the car and everything, I'm like, okay, so I need to get out of the car. So I reached to the door, it wouldn't open. And then I said, okay, maybe this has been impacted. Let me try the other side. And then it wouldn't open. At this time, I just resorted to faith. And I was very angry. I was communicating one-on-one. I'm like, God, this is such a cheap death. There was an accident, no blood. You've saved me. Why would you let me die in the fire? Because I reckon the car was going to catch fire and I'm going to go in the fire. So I'm like, God, just take me out of this fire. What are you doing? I try everything, nothing. At this time, nobody was coming closer to me. So I said, well, God, do you want me to close my eyes or do you want me to open my eyes? What do you want me to do? Because I'm okay. This is what you want to do. I'm okay. And this is why one of my friends said, stop it. Why did you say that? I said, I'm relating this story to you. And so, like your question, Liz, at this, all of a sudden I heard somebody at the door, banging the door. Hold on there. I'm a nurse. I'm here. I'm a nurse. And then they forced the door open. The moment the door was opened, I flopped. I've never flopped before because I'm not that soft. But I just flopped to the floor easily. And then I sat on the floor. And I'm like, what am I doing on the floor? I should know. So the nurse said, don't worry, I got you. A couple of people now came. At this time, I saw about 5 people from my church at the same time at the scene. They were like, Pastor, you are in an accident. We found you. You're blessed. Don't worry. We will call your husband. So I thought I'm in heaven with these people. I'm like, we're in heaven, aren't we? And they're like, look, there's an accident. That's your car. So when somebody said that was your car, I looked at it. I'm like, that's my car? They said, yes. This car? They said, yes. What? And I'm here? They said, yes, you're saved. This time, I broke down like, wow. God saved me. No blood, no breakage. So I said to the lady, check my body. I was like, just check everything. And they were stripping me, checking me. They said, nothing, you're fine. I said, really? So Then one of the ladies said, I'm calling your husband. This time I remember my husband. Wow, it's true. I actually have a husband. That's true.
Yeah, Temi.
I'm serious, calling. And then I said to my husband, come. So not long after, the police came, the ambulance came. And I was hearing, Temi, we got you. You're lucky. This, all too many noises were going. And then my ears were dead. This side, the right side was dead at the time. And I felt a little bit of pain on my shoulder. I could feel the pain on the shoulder blade and all that. So the paramedics, they gave me an antiemetic, they gave me analgesia, they put a cannula through, and then they passed the medication through that, and I went to the hospital. So when I got to the hospital, I'm like, I think I'm really, really blessed to be alive. I shouldn't be in this hospital. I said to them, can you look after sick people and let me go home? And the doctors came and the nurses said, no, you're not going home. We don't know what you don't. We saw the car. We saw the photo of the car. We know what's happened to you. You're not going home. So they kept me there till about midnight before they left me to go home. But what I forgot to say that my husband always reminded me was that in the morning, I was going to take the company car, which is a smaller car. So I went round my house to where it was parked to take it. I was looking for the car key because I used it the day before and I couldn't find the key. So I'm like, I can't be bothered with this key. With my car, I don't need to find a key. Let me just go get my car anyway because I hate looking for car keys. And that's why I did not take the smaller car. If only I had taken the smaller car, because nothing was changed. My planning for the day was all mapped out. I don't know whether it would have been, but God did not allow it, so it wouldn't have happened anyway. But this is in hindsight to see how I have been fully prepared, fully covered, and fully protected. So,
Amen.
ladies, I'm very, very grateful to God.
Amen.
Very grateful to God. After that, couple of days after that, then the realization kept on coming, and I could talk to you about the realization and how I was feeling and all that. So, but as of today, I can tell you now that I'm back. I've got my voice back. I've got my memory back. I've got my full sanity back, because it was a shock to my system. After a couple of days, I had to touch my husband and say, am I here? And he said, stop saying that. 10 days after the accident, I'm like, I can't drive. Don't ask me to drive. And then like 2 days ago, he says, no, I'll drive you to the city and then you drive a little bit. So I said, okay, let's do it. We got to the city and he says, okay, come and drive. And I said, nah, I don't want. Maybe I should get my car back. Then I want to feel in the car. Because if I drive your car now, then I will still be thinking, maybe I will not be able to drive my car. So he says, okay, but you need to start driving little by little. It's okay. So that's it.
And Temi, tell us about the realizations that you had. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, the realization is unbelievable. When the accident happened that I was saying, when I was in the car, I truly forgot my husband, my children. I forgot everything. I was just communicating one-on-one. I was with God all alone by myself. So it just goes to show that what the Bible says, that in heaven, there's no husband, there's no wife. You're going to give account of your own actions by yourself. So all those things that matters. In fact, I wasn't thinking about the car. I was thinking, let me just get out. So I didn't even have any, no realization of what happened to the car. So when the end of time comes, nothing will matter in this life. That's a very, very big one to me. Nothing. Yes. It was afterwards that I came back reasonably, that somebody was saying, I'll call your husband out, that I realized, okay, not calling. Because if I knew in the car, the first person I would call was my husband. I had the phone, I couldn't even ring him. I couldn't remember totally. So that's one of the biggest realization that I learned. The other thing was when I was, they were doing the, I did the MRI, I did CT and everything. The MRI one, we as a nurse, we push patients for MRI every time, but you don't know how they feel, what the
Mm,
MRI feels like. I never knew it until I went in myself. I always push them in and push them out, and then, all those things. So when I went through it, I'm like, wow, this is it. You can't swallow, you can't move and all that. The other thing I realized is, if you don't have people, I know Liz was saying this, she said this few times that when she came newly, she didn't have anybody and how she felt. You might empathize, but you really don't know what she's talking about until
mm,
when you get into it. So after the accident, I was thinking, what if I don't have my husband? How will I manage this? It's a very traumatic experience, and it doesn't have to be an accident. It could be any incident or as anything that happened in your life. If you don't have someone who you call your confidant, it doesn't
mm,
have to be your husband. It could be a child. It could be a friend. But you need someone who could be selfless and sacrificial. Just there be with you. But who can be there with you? That's the question. So we really need to know that we have someone you can call 2 o'clock in the morning, can hold your hand and say it's okay. For like, I mean, I see him 24 hours and he took himself off work for a whole week. He never left the house with me. It was with me. So if
mm,
you don't have, so I now appreciate how either single parents or lonely people and people that are only how they feel. I so
Mm.
much empathize now, and anybody that don't know how people feel, even if you empathize, you still don't know. You
yeah.
really don't know. It's a very, very pivotal experience for me. And I salute people that are doing this hard on their own. And I just pray that they will be able to find just one person that you could call 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and they will listen to you. I
Amen.
just pray.
Amen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough, Temi. It is tough, and like you said, I have a family here, so I have my aunties and my brothers. But then again, when I was really, really sick and I was going in and out of hospital with MS attacks, I used to go to the hospital, 4 days at a time. Every time I have an attack, and I used to have a frequent attack every 3 months, and it is very tough. It is very tough with the kids. It is very tough with, like, imagine I'm currently looking after my kids because my ex-husband was in the picture, and um, I'm going to hospital alone, and the girls are staying home with my mom alone. So it's like I would call it a taxi. So a taxi would pick me up and take me to the hospital, sit there for 4 days, come back in a taxi as well, and I would be alone in the hospital.
It's
So
a
yeah,
lot.
it is tough. So thank God for your stay. Thank God for your life. Thank God for your amazing husband,
Thank
because he's
God.
a beautiful person. He looked after you, and he was your angel.
Yeah.
All that time, and he is so loving. Temi, you are very, very blessed, and you
I'm
are very blessed for your life. Thank God for your life, and I'm really grateful. Do you remember that day on Saturday? I had talked about death only 2 days before that, and
You did.
today as well.
You
So
did.
I, when this happened, I just couldn't believe myself.
You did. Mm.
I just couldn't believe myself, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, what is this? But death is I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. It's actually one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's
I used to talk about it until now. I used to say to my kids, if I die, what would you do? And they always say, Mom, why do you always talk about death? And I said to my husband, if I die, can you tell people not to cry? Can you put my favorite music? Because I might be watching you and I'll be digging it. And they always think I'm crazy. But now that I saw it, I'm like, no, Lord, I need more time here. No death. It's been unbelievable. And all of you friends, Heidi, some people have been bringing food every day.
wow.
Somebody I'm telling you, food, cake. They've been baking cakes and bringing and flowers. You know what I've been doing with my flowers because like my house looks like orchard, it's like farmhouse. I don't even know if it's orchard or whatever it is. It's just unbelievable. And people are extremely busy, but they've been so there. And to you too, ID and to Liz, I've been eating your food for like 3 days and all those things. I'm like, today we're eating lasagna, tomorrow is the chicken wings, and it's fantastic. In fact, I'm really humbled. I'm really, if I could kneel down, that's what I want to do. To kneel down to everybody, all my family, all my friends. My mother-in-law is almost 80. She calls every day, and my father-in-law, all of them. They were like my godfather said, when we say to you you're favored by God, you probably don't know. So now that God has told you himself, maybe you know. I'm like, oh,
Yes,
I want to
Temi,
cry.
believe it, huh?
But I need to go back to your last week episode because
Yes.
I've got a couple of questions and I've got some awareness apart from the spiritual encounter that I had that I want to share with you as well. But let's go on a quick break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back on Hanging Out with Temi, and it's an honor to be on the platform sharing with you. And someone said to me, I should be telling people to share it. So please like us. We are on Facebook as well as YouTube. So like us, subscribe, follow us, and share. And thank you. God bless you as you do that. Now, the last week thing I was listening to, I've got some query or question I was going to ask Heidi because Heidi said on that one of the episodes on that day that you had an encounter and a situation where you were going to be suicidal, and I'm like, thank you God that Heidi is here and you spare Heidi's life because you see. Do you realize how many lives will have been lost without you as well? How many lives, the one we know, the one that I've given testimony about how you rescue them and help them to save their lives, and how you are a blessing even on this Angina with Temi platform. And personally to me, imagine if you're not here. So I'm really grateful to God that you're here. It just, it just got me. And like, what will precipitate that notion of you wanting to kill yourself because you love the girl so much, you love life so much. Did you forget about them this time too? Because I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I did, Temi. I did. At that time, I forgot about everything. I forgot about myself. I didn't have any sense of what's it like to feel that life.
wow,
Because yeah, at that time I was very sick, and I was not just sick physically, I was sick in my head. And this is why now I understand when I see a lot of patients and clients and people that I'm helping, when they tell me I am depressed, when they tell me, look, I hate life, I want to take my life. I hear that every day, and I know what it feels like. I know exactly what it feels like for someone to not want to live one more second. And I
wow,
know what it feels like for people to do suicidal attempts. This is very apparent. I see people do that. I know people that do that. I know a person, for example, she was my client, and she was suicidal. She attempted suicide 4 times in her life. And
whoa,
she's a beautiful Christian lady, by the way. Okay,
yeah,
so it's not about God. See, this is the thing, Temi. It's very important to understand where that comes from. It doesn't come from faith, and it has nothing got to do with what you believe in, because this is separate. This is
Yeah.
not a spiritual disease. This is a psychological disease. We are
Yeah.
mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
When your body is sick, you go to
Mm-hmm.
the doctors and you get medication. When your
Mm-hmm.
soul is sick, you go
You
to
go to
church and you open the Bible. But when
yeah.
your mind is sick, what do you do? So you have to do something about it. Look, God heals on all levels. Yeah? But if you only have a coherence language between mind, body, and soul, but if you don't, you can't. And at that time, at that point of time, I was just suicidal because I didn't know how to live in my own body and in my own skin. I didn't know how to do that. I was just not, I was focusing on my problems, my pain, my psychological disorders, my, depression that I have. I had no idea how to live without popping pills.
Yeah.
So because I was under so much pain, I used to be on very, very strong medication. I was on Xanax, I was on Tramal, I was on um painkillers, and I was on depression medication, and I was on some Valium, and I was in Ondone. So I would make a collection of tablets. I would do my own mix, and I take that, and guess where I am? I am like, in la la land. I have no idea. I have no awareness. You know what's it like to be drugged? Well, you know what's it like to be drugged.
Yeah.
You've
With drug
seen
people.
drugged people. Yeah. You've seen drugged people. Yeah.
I've seen one now. I
You've
mean,
seen one.
we see them all the time, especially when I was doing mental health thing, and I could
Yes.
I couldn't do that. I'm too emotional and I'm too sensitive, so that's why I do my general nursing. So I know what it is. And also, even our patient, maybe after surgery or whatever, how they get doped with something. So I understand you just being la 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 land.
Yeah, that is
But
true.
I'm just grateful to God that you're here. Thank
Thank
God.
you. I am
Thank,
grateful too. Thank you.
thank God. Liz also asked a question about if a limb is lost, and
Yeah.
how do we get under the NDIS and stuff. So I was just gonna say that you don't automatically qualify for National Disability Scheme thing, and so you go through. If you lose a limb, you just a limb, so to say, you will still function with that one. And you might be, if it's road accident, TAC will cover you, which is the when you have accident on the road here, there's insurance that will automatically pay when you register. Uh, but anyway, we've got a specialist who's going to talk to us about TAC, but there's a TAC also. The TAC, there are a lot of clauses. You're not entitled to a whole lot of things, but medical services you're entitled to, so they will look after you for your service, all that, until you're stable. And they might pay your salary if you're working and you're not able to work for that time. So they might pay some sort of, give you some subsidy, and that's what you get. So in terms of losing a limb, you don't automatically really qualify for anything, just for medical treatment. That's it. But if you lose a lot, then the service, the what is it called? You'll be covered. You'll be covered for a lot of losses, medical losses, financial losses, and you are entitled to some counseling and all that they will support you with if need be. But the thing is, the car. I was going to talk to us about the car. My car, something that I discovered I want to share with you guys is that when I my Range Rover Sport, it's getting serviced every year. So when the Range Rover people ring me to bring my car for service, they assume every year my car is used at 34,000 K. So they just program it and it just reminds them for me to bring my car. They've been recording this, even though some year I might use one 10,000 or 15,000. They've been hiding 34 every year for me, and that wasn't what my car used, if you know what I mean. So what I was hiding something. So that's not what my car is used. So when my car had an accident now, they automatically calculated I've used 78,000. But just before the accident, they asked me to bring in my car for service. And I said to them, 2020 last year, nobody is traveling. Why am I servicing my car? It's not due for service. And they said, is there a green light or something showing? I'm like, there's no light showing. It's not due. So how do you calculate? And then they told me that. But then a few weeks after, I had an accident. So I didn't have opportunity to tell them to change that, or you need to read my car accordingly and just get the actual number of kilometers that I've used on my car. So if you're taking your car to, I think Range Rover does this. I don't know if other car does it, but if you take your car for a service, make sure they read your odometer to know how much kilometer you spend and record that accordingly. But my one is auto, so they don't even have a logbook. They don't have a logbook. They just put it on their computer, and this is what is done. So that's one of the things I learned now. And so you need to make sure they're reading your speedometer, odometer accordingly. Yeah. And so the other thing is you went, I do, was at least I was asking a question about the insurance of the car, if it's going to be a replacement, if whatever. I think that was the question. And this guy that hit me, no insurance, no, his driver's license has been taken for 10 years. So he's not meant to be on the road. He was already a criminal, you see.
Sure.
And obviously he had nothing. And then you hit this car. Who compensates you for it? How do you get compensated? So shall we go on a quick break? And I think our guest will be there. Or do you want to, have you got anything to share before we go on a break? Please.
No.
Okay. Go on a break and we'll bring in our guest speaker. The guest speaker today is in the person of Mr. Dr. I beg your pardon, Bumi Ajayi. He's not been addressing himself, but you've got this qualification. You might as well just say Dr. Bumi Ajayi. And during the accident, when the accident happened, I can tell the police that you need to talk to your insurance. We need to talk to your insurance. I'm like, my husband is the insurance. So what if we bring the specialist? This guy is been in insurance all his life. He's the only person that I've seen that they've done just one thing. All their life. I don't know how it does it. I've done like 20 things. I just can't do it. But all he did in his life, he studied insurance in university. He's done it, and that's all he's done. He breathes insurance. I cannot tell you. No wonder he's number one insurance broker of the whole year in the whole of the country. And I'm privileged to welcome Mr. Dr. Bumi Ajayi. Welcome on the show.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good
Ladies, how are
morning.
you? Very good. It's exciting. And yeah, it's just so good to see you. So good to see Temi, and it's good to hang out with Temi outside of the home. Great. Your show has been a blessing to many people around the world. And it's been a blessing to me. I follow you guys. Of course, one of the greatest fans is myself. And I follow you guys every single week. So keep doing that. And it's good to see that the show must go on.
Yes. Amen. And we've got next week is 1 year anniversary.
I know.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Thank
great.
you, Jesus, for that.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of episodes.
we've
That's
done
a
so
whole year, yes.
much. We're still thinking about how we're going to do it. We don't know. But
Exactly.
I must say, ladies, I've said it before, for Dr. Bumi Ajayi to follow us, you're credible. These guys
Wow.
switched stuff. He doesn't watch anything that is not worth it. I know, I live with him. But he's really, really interested and he's very supportive and he thinks you're doing well and he believes in the show and he's enjoying it. So really, I think we pat ourselves on the back and say, good one. And so, yeah, truly, thank you so much. Yeah. Last week, he was asking some questions, so I'll let Liz go ahead and Heidi to ask the questions pertaining to road car accident.
I think the one thing that was coming up for me, particularly in relation to what Heidi was saying, you know, with a car, that incident was intentional. How does insurance work when it comes to intentional issues? I think that's probably the first one that I can ask. And while you're talking about that, I can gather the other questions I have, you know, with regards to people that don't have the documents and all that. But basically, we could go with that one.
All right. Thank you, Liz. First of all, I believe death is the only thing in life that is the expected and as well as the unexpected visitor. Okay, so and obviously none of us is going to get out of here alive, so that's one thing. Now to your question, if something happens intentional, it's not covered by insurance. If not, everyone will just start setting their houses on fire, throwing their cars into the pool and all of that. So anything intentional is not covered. Now, having said that, let me put it in the context of how that question arose. That was a suicidal attempt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't really say that it's a debatable one, but this is my opinion. If somebody dies of suicide, it wasn't that they took their own life, it was the sickness that killed them. So when you say something is intentional, that means you have your full mental capacity in place, and you're a person of sound mind, and you're doing it willingly, knowing exactly what you're doing. Those who kill themselves, they don't know what you're doing. So I wouldn't think that was intentional in that sense. It's a gray area, but that would be my opinion. But from an insurance balance, anything that is done willfully is not coverable for obvious reasons. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it is clear. And the young man who drove into Temi did not have a license. Sounds like he didn't have an insurance as well.
Yeah. He didn't have insurance, he didn't have a license, and all of that stuff. So obviously, he will be charged. He's obviously negligent, and he shouldn't be on the road in the first place. And he probably was. I mean, he wasn't tested at the scene for drugs and all that, but you can put two and two together. Someone driving at that level of speed in a 60 or 70 kilometer zone. Someone shouldn't even be on the road in the first place. So that's one thing. But him not having insurance introduces a bit of some complexities. For Temi, she's fortunate we've got full insurance on her own car, and that will be replaced. And we're working through the process at the moment, and that's fine. But you could find that there are other people who may not have limited insurance, maybe not the comprehensive insurance, but may have just a third party which doesn't cover their own car. So what happens? There is an option which is called an extension. It's called an insured motorist extension, which you can take in addition to your third-party cover. Okay, but that only pays out a limited amount. Okay, so obviously, as an insurance professional, my first advice would be everyone should be looking to have adequate insurance. Comprehensive is recommended. Of course, for financial constraints, some people don't want to dial down. They might have. There is a third-party fire and theft, and there is third-party only. So those are the three layers of insurances you have. The best is comprehensive. What it means is it covers both your car and injury or damage to other people's property, their cars and all of that. So in this case, Temi is fortunate, so our car will be taken care of. If the story was reversed, if she didn't have insurance or she didn't have insurance, she has one of two options: get a lawyer and sue the guy for the repairs or the replacement of your car. Whether she'll be fortunate to get something, that's a different case. He'll be charged. There might be a case of his salary if he's working, garnishing his income with the employers, or he may have to sell his house or whatever he needs to do to pay that. That's the way that works. Unless, of course, if you have what is called an uninsured motorist extension on your property policy. There could also be a time whereby you actually have comprehensive insurance, but you don't have the payouts depending on the insurer you have and the policy you have. There might be a gap on that. Then you can seek that gap from the negligent party, or you cannot claim on both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the other thing, perhaps, if Heidi has got something, she can come in. But what I was thinking about, even that I spoke about last week, is the issue of when your loved one passes away and you want to take your loved one probably back to Africa. How does that work in terms of insurance?
Okay, there is funeral expense insurance that you can take, and that is a predetermined amount. 10,000 you select, and that gets paid to your nominated beneficiary after you're gone. What they do with that will be part of your will. Your will will specify where you want to be buried, how you want to be buried, do you want to be cremated, any of those things. And your last instructions, obviously, will have to be complied with by either your, with the power of attorney or your beneficiary. So that's straightforward. But you can have a funeral expense insurance that pays out a lump sum in the event of one's passing.
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing, sorry, because I used to take this insurance. I did it for about 10 years. I'm like, I'm not dying. Let me stop it. So, they used to say, if you take it and then if you don't die, like until 50 years or something, you get a bonus of 10% of it. So that encouraging you to get to do it. But I think it's an advisable thing. I thought, no, after 60, I will start to do it again. Just to throw that in into life.
The older you become, the higher your premium at the entry level. So if you join in when you're 50, your premium will obviously be more than if you had joined at 20 or 21, because the risk is higher at that level.
And the premium is not that much, in fairness. One of my friends was supposed to do this. When I was doing it, I encouraged her to do it. She didn't. A couple of years after, then she had a stroke. And so when she had stroke, she wasn't covered anymore because she had pre-existing disease, or the premium was so high because you're coming now with a history of stroke. Yeah, you see. Yeah. How about the trauma? I was gonna ask you trauma. Do you permanent disability and trauma? Can individual take out that insurance? But because I know organizations do take it for their staff. Can individual take permanent disability and trauma insurance or income protection as well?
Yes, anybody can take out any insurance. There's no restriction to that. There's some insurance that comes with your within your super, which you'll find. You could have live TPD there, not so much the critical illness, but income protection could also come within your super. But of course, it's got its own advantages and disadvantages. We don't have time to go through all of that, tax implications and all of that, and who gets paid when the actual insured event happens. Now, but you can also take policies outside of that in your own name as the policyholder. So you can take policies that will cover your income protection if you were to involuntarily become redundant or you're no longer able to work. A level of income is paid to you. Total and permanent disability, loss of an arm, incapacitation. If you're, quadriplegic and any of that, that gets paid as well. Ongoing. The critical illness is also one you could factor into that. That gets paid upon diagnosis. That's a very important one. Cancer, diabetes, anything. There's a whole list of sicknesses and diseases that if you get diagnosed with that, you get a lump sum paid upon diagnosis. So
Oh.
those are the level of covers you can have.
I don't know if the ladies are hearing you clearly. I don't know if the ladies are hearing clearly, but you're going in and out of. Is it me?
Yeah.
Is
No,
the
there's
audio
just a little bit. There's just a little
a
bit.
little
It's gone.
bit? All right. Do you want me to repeat myself or?
I don't know. There's something like involuntary disability or involuntary. You said something that.
Yes, if you took out, anyone can take out insurance to protect your income, which is income protection. You could take out one that will cover you for total and permanent disability, or also critical illness, and of course life insurance, or some prefer to call it death insurance because it only gets paid out when you die, not when you're alive. So you could take that out in your personal capacity, or your company could take it out on your behalf. You could also get some measure of cover in your superannuation. So those are the tiers. So the income protection gets paid out, for instance, if there was an accident or an illness or an incident that happens involuntarily. You can't just quit your job and expect to be paid. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's got to be something fortuitous, something that's accidental, unintended that happens, and then the policy kicks in and you get paid. So that's how it works.
Insurance is good.
What if I'm running my own business?
Yeah.
I'm not, it's like self-employed, and I'm not, employed by anyone, and I do some income protection on my income. And for some reason, because you know how business fluctuates.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
what happens in that case?
That's a good one. You also do have a business expense insurance that covers income to the business, not the salary that you draw. So there's a distinction between that. You have the income protection, which covers your salary, a percentage, 80%, and all of that of your salary. But you could also have a business expense insurance that covers downtime if you're not able to work, and because you are the business, if you like. If you're not there, the business, so there's a business expense that covers the overheads and all of that for your business.
I like that one. So, in case, like, do you handle all of that, Bhumi? So you have all of
Yeah,
that in your
that's
capacity?
that's what I do on a daily basis, and I've done this for over 30 years.
Wow. And what interests you, Bhumi? Like, if you may share with us, what interests you in that area?
What I love is to be able to add value to my clients. And
Yeah.
what that means is just to see the smile on their faces when they have a claim, for instance, or when they don't really understand what the policy covers. I come alive and able to just open it up in language they understand, explain to them. And one of our strong points is to be an advocate for the clients. We don't represent insurance companies, we're independent. Insurance companies sometimes would have agents that are tied to particular insurers, we're not. So we act on and for the clients. And then, if the unexpected happens, of course, they don't need to do anything. They just tell us and then we'll do the whole thing. And I have not, in my 30-odd years, there hasn't been a claim valid that we have not paid. Many times there have been claims that are borderline, that have been declined. There are a lot of them, and we've been able to turn it around. That is what gives me a kick. That is what really interests me. And that is why the clients just keep coming back, because we fight for them, we advocate for them, and we're on their side, we're in their corner. Every step
Wow.
of the way, from quotes to claim and everything in between.
Wow.
It's painful that you're still echoing, which is sad, but I've been opportuned to see a couple of the cases that Bumi picked up. But I'll share one that he did once. It was about a motor mechanic that looks after a boat. And so the boat was stolen from the workshop, and the insurance turned it down, the payout down, and said, no, we cover you for a motor vehicle and not a boat. It's so funny, but we went to court and was defining the definition of motor, that is anything that propels. So there's a clause in the insurance wording that says anything propelling or something like that, and then they turn it around. I'm always so happy that, oh my gosh, I need a bottle of champagne when it turns that around. It's so good. Or the other one was when he did one. It's not about going to the insurance, but anyway, he did one that a house was lifted. I don't know the word. The wind blew off a roof, and then the insurance company said it's a wear and tear of the house. And so Bumi went to Metro. What are they called? The people, the weather
The meteorology, yeah, the
forecast
department
department.
got the stats of the day, and just to understand what the wind speed was for that day. And it was enough to show that even if the house was nearly built, that was enough to blow away that roof, because it wasn't also an isolated case. We got other houses that were also impacted by the same wind, and you could not tell me that both houses have the same defect,
Love that.
for that to happen. So that got paid. Just little things like that. And there was a case of a guy that had a car that was a diesel engine car, and accidentally he kind of was trying to fill up, and he put unleaded petrol in it, and that kind of ruined the engine. And he never even knew. He didn't know that it was an insurable thing. So just got talking and was narrating what happened on the weekend to me as a friend and a client at the same time. And he said, "What happened?" I said, "So what are you doing?" I said, "Well, it's going to cost him about 20 or it's a brand new car, about 20 or so grand to fix the engine." I said, "But you've got insurance with us." I said, "Oh, but that was silly of me. There was no collision, there was no accident, nothing." I said, "What do you mean there was no accident?" Anyway, cut a long story short, I was able to get him his payment. He never believed it. That was just something that
Wow.
happened.
Yes,
And I'm
yes.
sure a lot of people would never even think that that was an insurable event on a model vehicle policy.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things why you just don't want to do it by yourself.
Hmm.
Or to
Wow.
represent yourself. We advocate very, very strongly for our clients, and yeah, so that's what we're looking to keep.
You see, I don't do insurance, but I'm always excited if I hear them. I'm so happy that Bumi will turn it around.
I wanted to say that there is a should I call it a rumor or conspiracy probably that's going around that says, insurances basically are engineered to take from you, then it is actually set out to help you. So there's so much about the fine print that, when the incident occurs, that prevents you actually from getting the help that you were looking for at the end of the day. Is that true? Because that theory really deters quite a number of us to venture into insurances because of that belief.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. No, I've heard that many times before, and I wouldn't say there's no element of truth in that. But what I would say that it's largely not true. It's just one of those, theories that has lasted for years and it lingers on. We're in a country where the consumers are well protected. You could not have fine prints that are not legit, and use that to, get out of a claim payment. And that's the more reason why you do need to use a broker, as a matter of fact. Uh, the fine prints are there, so-called fine prints, and these days insurance policies are, in being insurers are being compelled to make sure their policy wordings are in very legible and easy to understand format. And when you have a broker, it's our duty to open up some of these things for you, explain to you. This is a language you speak on a daily basis with the insurers. So that's why I would not even advocate that someone just goes on and gets an off-the-shelf policy. It's a recipe for disaster, because you're more than likely going to have instances whereby they will tell you, well, you should have read this. These are the provisions. These are the things you should have done. And if you don't do it, it's there. It's a contract. So those things are there, but it's because the unsuspecting insureds or client just take it up without understanding what they're getting. It's just like any other thing. So I think the onus is on you to really understand what you're getting into. So just like any other contract. So those things are there, but no insurer would just deny it if in fact there isn't a clause in there that prevents them from knocking back a claim. So it's now on you, the insured, to make sure that you understand what you get into and what the rights and obligations and responsibilities are under the policy. But if you have a broker, all of that stress is taken off you, because the very nature of insurance is wrapped up in legal jargons. So, which even when you read it, you probably wouldn't understand it.
That's right.
We're talking of subrogation, we're talking of indemnity. These are terms that are industry specific, that the layman will not even understand what it means. So when we talk of gross profit, for instance, it's not the accounting gross profit. Even if you're an accountant, you may not understand what we mean by insurance when we talk of gross profit or business interruption insurance, consequential losses, and all of that. So it's a really technical area. It's not just something you walk into and buy. So the disappointment comes in when people have bought something they have no clue about, and which is a shame, because there is the representation you can get, and it doesn't cost you anything more. As a matter of fact, it costs you less to use a broker. When you look at the fact that we operate from a wholesale space, and we're able to pass back to you savings that we get because we buy in bulk and we pass it on to the clients.
Fantastic. I think some people are, let's have a look at the comment. Hello, beautiful Temtayo, Ajayi, and Heidi. Hey, Liz is here. Thanks, Daisy.
And hello, Liz.
And hello, Liz. And praise God. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. We must say thank you to our special guest, Dr. Bumi Ajayi, for coming on the show. It's not easy to get this man on the show. I will support you. Let me share you, but you ladies are doing well. But thank you for coming today. We do appreciate you. God bless you.
Can I ask you to answer one quick question again?
All right, go for it.
707.
Yeah, a quick one. Why are the insurance documents so thick?
It depends on which insurer you're talking about, because not all of them are thick. Most of them are now in soft copy, and some could be 15 pages now, which is not a lot if you ask me. Because
15 pages, both sides written, fine print.
No, both.
That's a lot of reading.
both prints, but you have to know that it's a very wide spectrum. So you got to understand. You want to be able to capture, the things that you're covered for, what you're not covered, because every policy has exclusions. You can't have a policy that will cover you for every conceivable event or hazard that happens. So they need to be able to spell that out very well. And like I said, you don't need to understand everything that is in it, no matter how thick or slim it is, if you do have a broker that explains that. It's just like any other thing. I mean, you have contracts for homes. Contracts to buy houses is not much thicker, maybe 20 times thicker. You have it as bold, as bold as that. To buy a house or to buy a business, it's the same thing. Insurance is a contract. It's a legal contract. So I think it's important that people understand that. What I was going to say is that I heard you before when you're talking about suffering, about pain, and why things happen. But I would like to say that when an event happens, that's not when the suffering happens. So when you get into an accident, for instance, that's not when the suffering happens. We need to be able to separate those two things. The suffering or the pain happens when you give that event a label, when you call it's a bad thing or it's a good thing. Of course, the bad thing is what brings the pain and the suffering, because we really don't know whether an event is a good thing or a bad thing. In life, you got to have a panoramic view of them. Have you ever been in a situation where what you thought was a bad thing,
Yes,
and then 2-3 years down the track was the best thing that happened to you?
we know.
Vice versa. So I just want to encourage you that sometimes things happen. We may not know the end of it or why it happens, but we shouldn't be quick to give labels to things.
Amen.
What happens is not what causes the suffering, it's the label we give it that causes the suffering. When you label something as bad, that's when you begin to internalize it and begin to think that it's a bad thing. You cannot have a bad day with a good attitude, and you cannot have a good day with a bad attitude.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Pastor Bumi Ajayi. We know that that is very, very true. And, I must say also that the support base, you please build a support base. Very, very important. Because I kept on querying myself. I've been driving since I was 17 years old. My mother taught me how to drive at age 17. So that's how long, minus 54, whatever I am now. That's how long I've been driving. And I drive carefully. When I came to Nigeria, I was rough. I need to say that because everybody is. But when I came to Australia, I had to because I learned my lesson pretty quickly with the fines. Okay. So I learned. But one day, I need to say this to encourage someone. One day, my daughter, little one, had an episode. She had a seizure. We were at the plaza. I don't know if I've shared it before. So I threw her in the car. I was rushing to the hospital. And then I threw the other ones in the car. The first one at the front, Toby and my twins there at the back. And I was rushing from the plaza to the hospital. And so because I was rushing, I think I was driving rough, and there were cars coming through in front of me. And so I was crying that I'm so sorry if I'm doing this, I'm so sorry. But after that, I realized that sometimes people are driving rough in front of you. You don't know what is chasing them, you don't know what they're chasing, you never know what happened to them. They probably just get a diagnosis of some sort. So I've always been very careful when I drive. And I need to say also that day I slammed the brake and my first daughter hit her head on the wind on my screen. The screen was broken, so it was shattered. So when I got to the hospital, I had two casualties now. We were doing MRI on the big one and on the second one. So sometimes people are driving rough, either they want to commit suicide or either they have issue, you don't know. So I've always been very careful. I say that to say now I'm saying to my husband, maybe I need to be very careful. Maybe, and he says, you've been driving good. You're the one that has been checking every one of us to drive carefully. So don't be extra careful or be panicking that you can't drive. I'm saying that because of the encouragement I'm getting now, I'm coming back. It's okay. I drive carefully. It wasn't my fault and all that. So I just want to reemphasize the essence of support base. So find people that you can trust. It's not the whole world that hates you. Somebody must love you, and try to get that. I just want to end this to say what you said, Bumi, is that this is a testimonial episode for me. I just want to thank everybody, thank all my family, my friends, my church, my community, and the people that you thought has never rang me for 6 months. It's been ringing me every day, been concerned. And one of my friends came and kissed me like 20 times. She was holding my hand and she wouldn't let me go. But I haven't even seen her for a year. So sometimes I'm just saying that appreciate people. It's not the whole world that hates you, and the fact that they have not asked of you doesn't mean they don't like you. So I truly want to just appreciate everybody today and to thank God for life. For life. But time is not on our side. We have to cut a day, and next week is our 1 year, so we're going to do that. We're going to come back with how that is going to be done, and then we're going to invite our guests that were supposed to be here last week. They're coming. They already said they're coming, but they're going to confirm that with us. So we'll bring them back. It's about the violence against women and men. Okay, so we're going to have to call it a day today. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And to everyone that is watching us, you have to say tata for now.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.